This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. George Bush and Michael Dukakis are on the final run-up to Election Day. Dukakis today delivered one of his most aggressive speeches yet. He attacked Bush for a number of things, including refusing to cut off all U.S. aid to countries involved in drug trafficking. There was open Republican Party talk today of a Bush blowout victory election night and talk of the new cabinet. Bush himself kept hitting Dukakis as way outside the American mainstream and talked up publicly his own running mate, Dan Quayle, for the first time in days. CBS News correspondent Bruce Morton, traveling with the Dukakis campaign in Illinois, begins our coverage of these, the final frantic days of Campaign 88.
Thousands of people waited for Dukakis in Chicago's Daley Plaza, named after the late mayor and so a sort of shrine to hardball politics. Dukakis responded with a blast at George Bush for saying he would not automatically cut off foreign aid to any country which sent drugs to the United States.
I'll work with other countries, but I'll be damned if I let those countries send their poison into the United States of America and destroy our kids. If you're against us, don't expect a dime of American foreign aid.
The Reagan administration has certified some countries suspected of drug dealing, such as Panama, as eligible for U.S. aid. On a more standard political note, Dukakis accused the Republicans of raiding the Democrats' Hall of Heroes.
They were trying to suggest that if Harry Truman were alive today, he'd be voting for George Bush and Dan Quayle. Have they no shame?
Illinois is one of the states Dukakis needs. Pennsylvania, his next stop, is another. He also hopes to carry Minnesota, though his stop there was more to visit his ailing wife, better today, than to help his campaign. At a breakfast full of labor union jackets, Kitty Dukakis was in everybody's thoughts.
She's going to be fine, and she just has to take it a day at a time and make sure that she doesn't go back out there 18 hours a day. And so do I.
Big crowd in Chicago, faces that glowed, arms that pumped. But winners and losers both draw such crowds, and it is hard to judge, just from watching them, how a campaign is going. Staff people still insist Dukakis has a chance. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Chicago.
When you're ahead, you play safe, and what could be safer than a high school in an affluent Republican suburb of Chicago? Not many kids old enough to vote here, so just a quick stop and...
off to Michigan we go.
In Michigan, where the race is as close as it is in Illinois, Bush went to another Republican safe haven, Gerald Ford's hometown of Grand Rapids. The perfect place to do what Bush seldom does, offer a pat on the back to his running mate.
My young running mate has been through the fire, and his head is up and his chin is high, and he is doing a great job.
Bush's schedulers see to it that Quayle does his job as far away as possible from Bush. But in Tennessee, Quayle found himself fielding a new question about one of Bush's favorite subjects, Willie Horton, the Massachusetts murderer who raped a woman while on prison furlough. The question, if Horton had gotten the woman pregnant, what should she have done? Quayle, who is against abortion, gave this answer.
Reporting of the rape, going into the hospital, and right after that, and having a DNC, I think is a perfect, normal response, and one that I would not put in the category of abortion.
Sticking to the game plan, Bush himself steered clear of that and all other controversy today. Instead, he poked fun at Dukakis' late media blitz.
It seemed like he appeared on every television show except Wheel of Fortune. You see, he was afraid that Vanna might turn over the L word.
So he means L for liberal, of course, but for these happy Republicans, the letter now is C for confident. The chairman of the Republican National Committee, Frank Fahrenkopf, said today he thinks things are looking so good, he now sees the possibility of a Bush landslide. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Mike Dukakis and George Bush both spent part of the day campaigning in Illinois with good reason. The land of Lincoln is a state with almost 6 million registered voters, a hefty 24 electoral college votes, often a bellwether state in presidential elections, and a state now ready to toss up. CBS News correspondent Frank Courier reports tonight on the fierce battle for Illinois.
Michael Dukakis knows Illinois is a state that's picked a winner all but twice this century. And George Bush knows no Republican has been elected president without carrying Illinois.
This race is going to be close in Illinois, and I think whoever turns out their troops on Election Day is going to win.
Turnout is critical in a state turned off by the exodus of thousands of manufacturing jobs and the drought-battered farm economy, where there's a backlash of dissatisfaction among voters.
I'd like to think of myself as a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, but the Democrats haven't really shown me that much strength in the last years.
It doesn't seem like the Republicans have done anything for us as far as, the working class.
In the battle for Illinois, Chicago still belongs to the Democrats. But in a town more enamored with electing mayors than presidents, Dukakis has struggled to unify support for his ticket among politicians racially divided and preoccupied with the upcoming mayoral primary.
The machine will not and cannot win Chicago for Dukakis.
40 years ago, when Illinois helped elect Harry Truman, Chicago delivered 50% of the statewide vote. Today, with a mere 1/4 of the electorate, this city has lost much of its legendary Democratic muscle. The key battleground is suburbia. With 40% of the vote in Illinois, it is not only home to generations of Republicans, but to independents and much of the white working class. Here, the issues are old-fashioned leadership, family, jobs, and education.
I want a label made in America to be a symbol of quality and value and durability again.
Other targets are white ethnics in the city, where several polls show Dukakis winning back Reagan Democrats, where Bush strategists are even selling him as a friend of the Pope.
We want to reinforce in their minds the idea that George Bush is a friend of the Polish people.
Ed Brodoliak, Chicago's former Democratic chairman turned Republican, is leading the way for Bush, who has campaigned heavily in these ethnic Democratic wards.
For a Republican candidate for president to spend that time in the city is without precedent.
Dukakis has made only one campaign stop in a black South Side neighborhood. And while the liberal label plays well with Chicago's huge black voting bloc, he may have trouble convincing them to actually vote.
I expect a relatively low turnout, partly because Dukakis hasn't done much to excite blacks.
Bush has history on his side, with Lyndon Johnson the last Democrat to carry Illinois, while Dukakis counts on undecided voters to underscore an old theory here that to win Illinois is to win the election. Frank Freer, CBS News, Chicago.
Besides the celebrating and confident talk of Bush-Quayle campaign forces, all other available indicators, including polls, point to a large lead in voter sentiment for the Bush-Quayle ticket. Bush and Quayle have been told by their closest advisors and handlers that unless there is some drastic change, they will be elected. They are reported to have accepted advice and instructions to be cautious, avoid any bold moves or talk, and above all, not to make any big mistakes. Both Dukakis and running mate Lloyd Bentsen are reported to have been told that they are likely to lose, that they must campaign aggressively if they are to keep alive even the slightest hope of an upset, and that the following states now are absolutely must carry electoral votes: New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, Texas, and California, all rated close except Texas, which is widely believed to have a lead for Bush and Quayle. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Susan Spencer on a cigarette that may not be a cigarette and may be more dangerous. And Richard Schlesinger on the pig that ate Twinkies and got run out of town.
The finer things in life. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon is so fine, it's even made with white wine. Its original French Dijon recipe adds distinctive flavor to beef, pork, and poultry, salad dressing and sauces, and of course, sandwiches. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
Grey Poupon, one of life's finer pleasures.
Just a little higher. If my head really hurts, I don't care what anyone says about pain relievers. The only thing that really counts is, will it work for me? Advil does. Just one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin, so one's usually enough. But when my head's really pounding, 2 Advil make quick work of the pain. Advil, it's what works for me. Before there was only aspirin or Tylenol, but today there's Advil. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. The first screen shaves incredibly close, the second even closer. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back.
And the Lady Remington rechargeable, the perfect gift.
This diver has a thin, powerful seal, but it's not on his mask. It's on his dentures, a seal so thin, so powerful, that more than any ordinary adhesive, Extra Hold Fast Teeth holds closer to real.
A major battle today in the tobacco wars. The nation's largest and most powerful physicians group took aim at what manufacturers say is a, quote, smokeless cigarette. CBS News medical correspondent Susan Spencer explains why.
Premier, R.J. Reynolds' so-called smokeless cigarette, made its test market debut in Arizona and Missouri last month, to mixed reviews from the public and denunciation from the American Medical Association. Today, the AMA petitioned both states to stop the sale of Premier until the federal government decides what Premier really is and whether it should be regulated.
It's a device to deliver an addictive substance to people that use it. And the last thing that this country needs is another device to deliver addictive substances to our people.
As a matter of common sense, it's a cigarette. That's its function, that's its purpose. It's used for smoking taste and pleasure by smokers.
The point is crucial. If Premier is a cigarette, the Food and Drug Administration has no jurisdiction. If it's a device to deliver a drug, nicotine, the FDA would have to find it safe and effective for it to be sold.
The issue before FDA right now is whether it should ban this product from the market. And our view is that it should not.
Reynolds has spent $1 billion on this product, which everyone agrees is different. It has tobacco on the outside, but that doesn't burn. Instead, a carbon tip burns, warming a flavor capsule inside, and that sends a vapor containing nicotine through the filter. It produces less ash, less side stream smoke, less tar than ordinary cigarettes. The company touts it as clean. It does not say safe. Addiction experts say dangerous.
The evidence suggests this product delivers nicotine even more efficiently than a regular cigarette. And because of the non-irritating quality of the smoke, this may well be the most addictive nicotine device of all.
Critics also worry that high-tech Premier may attract young people and smokers who otherwise might quit. And there is growing concern that it could be modified for a very sinister use.
I personally have some concern about its use downstream as a delivery system for crack.
For crack?
That's right.
R.J. Reynolds insists that is a very far-fetched possibility, but it does put added pressure on the FDA to act. With a powerful tobacco company on one side and the entire medical community on the other, the FDA commissioner says this may be the toughest decision he has ever had to make. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
The United States Supreme Court heard arguments today about the constitutionality of one of President Reagan's tactics in the war on drugs. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver reports on the first case to come before the justices concerning drug testing of government workers.
The Reagan administration today defended drug testing programs for some customs agents and railway workers. The stakes are so high, the Attorney General took the unusual step of arguing one of the cases himself.
Well, these cases represent an important step in the desire to aid in creating a drug-free workplace in the United States.
Thornburg claimed it's in the interest of public safety for the Transportation Department to require that railroad crews take urine and blood tests after serious train accidents. Justice John Paul Stevens, however, questioned whether such post-accident testing really deters collisions, suggesting you test after the time bomb explodes. And the lawyer for the railroad employees complained that testing of all the crew members violates the Fourth Amendment's right to privacy.
It mandates an unreasonable search and seizure without probable cause.
That was the same argument raised by employees involved in the second case. They're challenging the U.S. Customs Service requirement of drug tests for agents up for promotion.
It's a bad idea. I feel that it's a warrantless search, and that is my principal objection to it.
The Commissioner of Customs ordered the program because his agents are on the front lines of the drug war.
And therefore, it seems natural to us that we should ensure that our employees are drug-free.
And in court, Solicitor General Charles Freed echoed that argument, saying that the drug testing does not amount to an unreasonable search of an employee's body. Today's cases involved only specific, limited drug testing programs. But whatever the court decides in these cases is expected to lay the groundwork for determining the constitutionality of the random government-wide drug testing programs the administration wants to require. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
Analysts found further signs the economy may be slowing down in two reports from the government. Today, the Commerce Department said sales of new single-family homes plunged a surprising 7.8% during September. That's the sharpest drop in 16 months. And the department also said factory orders in September slipped 1.9%.
You're on your way.
The company that gave me a summer job in Louisiana last year has sent me to Germany this year. And we've got an interesting challenge, getting a special product to people who need it all over the world. It's used in formulating medical compounds that fight heart disease, high blood pressure, and more. Hard to imagine a college senior working on a project like this. But I found one company willing to give a young person a chance.
Now lets you do great things.
Choose to make a difference.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
Every time you reach for MasterCard from now through December, we'll donate money to 6 worthy causes, and you can help choose where the money goes.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Choose to make a difference. Choose MasterCard.
Don't take chances with your brake repairs. Trust your brakes to Midas, where the work is done by trained experts. And your brake shoes and pads are guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
This man is twice as strong as this man. Tom's EX is twice as strong as Rolaids. So when you have heartburn, get the stronger acid neutralizer. Tom's EX, twice as strong as Rolaids.
Israeli Prime Minister Shamir opened negotiations today with 4 ultra-Orthodox religious parties trying to put together a new coalition government. Most Arab leaders reacted gloomily to yesterday's Israeli election, saying the right-wing gains were a setback for peace in the Middle East. CBS News correspondent Bob Simon reports on reactions in Israel.
The most enthusiastic dancers this morning were backers of Israel's small religious parties, the real winners of yesterday's election. They increased their representation by 50%. They will have unprecedented power in Israel's next government. They shocked the nation. They shocked themselves.
That's unbelievable. Something that people wouldn't have dreamt about a few years ago.
It will be the first time where an Israeli government would be dominated by fundamentalists.
Prime Minister Shamir met with leaders of the religious parties all day. He was smiling. He will keep on smiling. He needs their support. They will demand more seats in the cabinet, more religious education, more money for their schools, no movies, sports, or restaurants on the Sabbath, no pork on Israeli tables.
Those traditional ideas connected with the ways of the Torah will be instituted in the country.
On the country's secular byways today, the reaction was fear and dismay.
I want to live my own way. I don't want anybody to tell me how to live.
They want to force their way of living on everybody else. And it's frightening, and they will.
It might be a better Israel. It might be Israel with a spiritual meaning.
How did it happen? Numbers. Religious families have more children. Many secular Israelis are leaving the country. Religious Jews are coming. According to Israeli newspapers, several thousand with dual Israeli-American citizenship came from the United States this week just to vote in Israel's election.
They came for 3 or 4 days, they vote, and they return back to the States.
Many were motivated by an Orthodox New York rabbi, leader of the large and influential Lubavitcher movement. For the first time ever, he endorsed an Israeli party. It more than doubled its representation.
No doubt that this American rabbi living in Brooklyn, in New York, affected the whole political map in Israel.
The elections, which many hoped would lead to a resolution of the Arab-Israeli conflict, now seems more likely to escalate the wars of the Jews. Bob Simon, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
A federal judge here in New York today accepted an offer by tobacco heiress Doris Duke to post $5 million bail for her friend Imelda Marcos. This will clear the way for the former Philippine First Lady to return to her home in exile in Hawaii. Earlier this week, Mrs. Marcos pleaded not guilty to federal racketeering charges.
Wow.
What you eating, babe?
Nothing, honey.
Oh, you can tell me.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Looks good, Private. What is it? Nothing, honey.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
When you've got the special taste of nuts and honey all wrapped up in a hearty crunch, what more can you say? Here's what. New Nut and Honey Crunch Biscuits. Crunchy biscuits of wholesome shredded wheat with that special nut and honey taste inside.
Wow.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey.
Now in biscuits, too.
Crunch.
This is Precious Cargo, telecommunications equipment on its way to Japan. On another day, it might be medical systems headed for Europe. We design and build that equipment. We're Siemens USA. 27,000 people, 47 manufacturing plants, and nearly $3 billion in sales and service of electronic and electrical equipment. And each year, 15% of that is worldwide exports from America. We are Siemens USA.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night. Gloved up, got a clog in my tub. But Liquid Drano fixed it up right.
Liquid Drano, the liquid strong enough to be called Drano.
Hemorrhoids, they hurt, burn, and swell. Over the years, more doctors have recommended Anusol than Preparation H to relieve the hurting. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
Nicaragua appealed for more foreign aid today and devalued its currency, trying to deal with the deepening economic crisis. The Marxist-Leninist-led Sandinistas say they're up against a triple whammy: damage from Hurricane Joan, on top of a U.S. trade embargo, plus the 7-year-old war by U.S.-backed Contra rebels. On the other side, the Contras have a crisis of their own. The U.S. Congress has cut off their military aid, and as CBS News correspondent Juan Vasquez reports, they have nowhere else to turn.
President Reagan once called these men the moral equivalent of our founding fathers. Today, abandoned in neighboring countries, the Nicaraguan Contras have become the political equivalent of homeless orphans.
The Contras are going to begin to fall apart. Some of them will come to Miami. Some of them will remain in the bordering countries of Nicaragua.
In Honduras and Costa Rica, the army of 12,000 sits in refugee camps, wondering whether the cavalry is coming to the rescue with military aid. A doubtful prospect, since neither U.S. presidential candidate has made Contra aid a major issue.
This is an unpopular subject, it's a controversial subject, and they don't like to bring it up.
Armed by the U.S. Congress and trained by the CIA, the Contras were once the heroes of the Reagan administration. Now, with aid running out, U.S. allies in the region and some American officials believe the U.S. has an obligation to find a home for an army that Washington created.
If we're not going to help them be able to go home and live in freedom in Nicaragua, then we ought to help them live decently someplace else.
But the question is, where? This home video, shot by a Contra doctor, captures the exodus of the fighters from Nicaragua, lining up to seek refuge in Honduras. But they are not welcome there. In fact, no country in Central America wants to play host to an army of rebel fighters.
These people could not be resettled in Honduras?
No, it's out of the question. I think it's unacceptable that principle that is Honduras' responsibility. It is not.
Occasionally, Contra sabotage teams practice warfare. More often, they pass the time playing volleyball. In a pep talk, Contra military commander Enrique Bermudez tells his troops the war isn't over as long as they still have their rifles. But the Contras are managing only with humanitarian aid from the U.S. Congress. Aid that will run out next year. Then, another American president will have to decide what to do with the so-called freedom fighters who are forgotten but not gone. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Tegucigalpa.
In Florida, rollout day for Space Shuttle Atlantis. It was moved to the launch pad today for a flight late this month for the Defense Department. Among other things, the all-military shuttle crew will deliver a secret payload in space. It's said to be an intelligence satellite that can listen in on international communications and verify Soviet compliance with arms control agreements.
AT&T called this morning. They wanted to know why we switched to MCI. So I told them MCI showed me how with Prism Plus we could consolidate all our Watts lines on our regular business lines. Something they never did for me. Of course, then they claimed they could do the same thing. I said, then why didn't you tell me that a year ago? End of phone call.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
They came across country by wagon and settled in Amana, Iowa. Whatever they needed, they made by hand. Made it the best it could be. That same fundamental is still practiced today in Amana, Iowa, the home of Amana Appliances, a Raytheon company. Whatever you make it the best it can be. Raytheon, where quality starts with fundamentals.
Don't make a big fat mistake. Don't cook wholesome food in butter, margarine, or oil. Use Pam cooking spray instead. You can save 90% of the fat and calories. No mistake about it.
Honey, where's the ice cream? With our new Whirlpool refrigerator, I don't hear that anymore. Shelves in the refrigerator and baskets in the freezer slide out, so nothing gets hidden away.
Oh, same like golf clubs?
If they're in there, you'll find them.
Whirlpool. Quote, Pigs is Pigs. That was the title of a turn-of-the-century bestseller that kept readers laughing for 3 decades. But anyone who believes Pigs is Pigs doesn't know about Jerome and all the attention he's getting in Houston. It's a kind of pig's tale with a twist. Richard Schlesinger here in New York has pinned up the story.
It's a red-hot controversy in the Purple House on Crawford Street. The problem is Victoria Herberta's unkosher choice of pets. 700 pounds of white Yorkshire named Jerome. He's been like a son to her.
He's very affectionate. He loves people. He's a people pig.
Jerome has lived here for about a year since he was just 10 pounds. He slept inside in a bed until he reached 400 pounds and the bed collapsed. Since then, he's lived on the enclosed carpeted porch. He is notable not just for his address, but for his lineage. His mother is Priscilla the pig, considered a hero around here for saving a drowning child. All was well on Crawford Street until one of the neighbors squealed, turning Ms. Herberta in for violating Houston's ban on barnyard animals. The authorities ruled the pig had to go.
His mother saved a human life. What's wrong with the humans in this city? Why don't someone step forward and save him? Keep Jerome at home.
Jerome's supporters picketed City Hall today, hoping for a reprieve.
We even discussed up here whether we could call the pig a dog, but that didn't work.
Jerome had to be coaxed from the porch to his trailer with Twinkies. Life could be worse. He's headed for a farm outside the city limits. All because the city council refused to buy a pig on a porch. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, Democratic presidential candidate Mike Dukakis.
Also, Geraldo Rivera and Anna Alicia on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.